There can be snakes inside your home. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Bro, jealousy is a disease. Hi buds! Welcome back to your favorite self-development channel. So last year I made a whole video on how I was seeing so many other people online talking about how they have no friends. I talked about my own struggle with friendships, and since then a lot has changed. I've successfully cut out the people in my life who were not helping me grow and kind of were stunting my growth and made me feel alone and crappy, and also found people that I've since added to my inner circle that just make me feel amazing and beautiful and loved. You genuinely cannot open your heart to the right kind of people unless you successfully cut out the wrong kind of people. And honestly, looking back at the past few years, one of the biggest roadblocks to me making quality friends was eliminating the wrong ones. I feel like as a society, we get when romantic relationships don't work out, like we assume that that's how it's supposed to go. But when it comes to friendships, it's just almost assumed that like every friend is going to be your friend forever. And I think that leads to a lot of people feeling like they have to keep these friends in their life who don't support them or don't make an effort, or they've just outgrown. Not everyone deserves a spot in your life, and you need to be choosy about who you let into that circle to go on an entire decades-long journey with you. That shouldn't just be everyone loosey-goosey. I've grown so much over the past 3 years. One thing I've learned is not everyone is meant to come with you. Also, I'm a strong believer in hanging out with the wrong people will F up your life. People always say that the person you pick to be your husband or your wife is the most important decision in your life, and I agree it is, but I feel like just underneath that is who that next inner circle is. They're gonna be the ones you talk to all the time. They're gonna be the ones that influence you. I feel like people don't put enough emphasis on this. Friends will dictate your mindset on the entire world. And if you feel like you have not been really examining your life and maybe there are some people who need to go, here are 7 types of people you need to cut loose so that you can grow and actually have the space to find the right people. I'm gonna be sharing my own personal stories. Stay for the chai, the tea, the drama. We're gonna go over how to spot them, the big red flags, and finally, when you decide you don't want them in your life anymore, how to break up with them. And as a recovering people pleaser, a lot of these will be from the lens of a former people pleaser. The first friend you need to cut off is the jealous one.
God, definitely not jealous.
These friends are typically insecure. They don't want to see you doing well because it makes them feel bad about themselves. Every win of yours feels to them like you're bragging or shoving it in their face, so they feel the need to humble you. You get the feeling that they're not really happy for you. Like a lot of times they're not a total hater, because if they were just a total hater, you wouldn't be friends with them, right? A lot of times they come in the form of like trying to show you that they're your friends. Like they want to be your friend so they can get the scoop on how much money you make or who you're dating, but really they just want to keep tabs on their competition. Let's be real, a lot of people are just unhappy in life. Like they're unhappy with their relationship, or they're unhappy with their job, they're unhappy with their body. So a lot of times for insecure people, it can be hard to see someone close to them doing so well and all of a sudden losing weight, or all of a sudden getting a promotion, or all of a sudden meeting the love of their life, because it kind of shines a light on what they don't have. And these people can be a wolf in sheep's clothing. They might give you backhanded compliments like, you know, that haircut makes your nose look smaller. Like, wait, what did you just say? Or they're the type of friends that will insult you but then be like, just kidding. They'll be like, oh my gosh, you've gained so much weight, and then when I'm like, what the heck? They're like, I'm just messing with you. Don't take it so seriously. These types of people can also manifest in always trying to one-up you. Like a few years ago, I told a friend, it's my goal to make X amount of money this year. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. I've been making that. If I came back from vacation and I was telling her about, you know, the cool resort I was staying at and all the cool things I did, she would tell me, oh yeah, when I went there, I actually stayed at this 5-star place. And it was always like, okay. And like sometimes people can do that unintentionally, but I really did feel like it was coming from a place of insecurity and like trying to one-up me all the time, which is just weird. You shouldn't be trying to compete with your friends. The second types of friends you need to cut off are the yes mans, the ones that don't challenge you. Let me tell you guys a quick story. When I was in college, my freshman year, I hung out with maybe not the best group of people. Actually, let me back up. When I was in high school, I was always a straight A student. I was the student who handed in their homework first, always did the extra credits. I was like such a good noodle, guys. And then when I went into college, my freshman year, let's just say I made a group of friends who were not like that. They were the ones who skipped class a lot and did other things that I'm not going to talk about on YouTube. When I tell you, that was the most I've ever strayed from myself in my life. Don't get me wrong, they were not bad people. Like, they were fun, but like that could not be my inner circle. If I had stayed friends with them and hung out with them every day, I'm not so sure I would have a degree. And I knew that if I told them like, do you think I should just skip class and go to this party? They would be like, yes. Like, it was never any challenging me. They were yes men. They never checked me. They never made sure I was on track with my goals. But here's the thing. I really feel like real friends you might have more friction with sometimes, but real friends give a shit about your goals. They don't just think about themselves and the fun they're gonna have with you. Like my real friends from college who I still have to this day, if I told them like, I don't think I need to study for this exam, like I'd rather just like party, they would be like, girl, get your ass to the library. And they would come with me and like help me study and make sure that I got an A on that exam because they know that's what my goals were. So make sure the friends in your life actually care about your values and your goals. And if you think, oh, I'm too grown for that, if my friends are smoking this and doing that, that doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. Like, that's so elementary. Like, I know who I am. It's not always so obvious and explicit. Sometimes it's subtle things like the way they talk about people or the way they talk about life that will deeply influence your mindset on things without you even knowing it sometimes. And if you don't believe me, believe the math, okay? Because a Pew Research study found that people were 75% more likely to get a divorce if one of their friends got a divorce. And they were 33% more likely to end a marriage if a friend of a friend ended their marriage. And the sociologists in the study call this social contagion. They say that attitudes, behaviors, and the way you see life are deeply and even subconsciously influenced by the people you hang around the most. The third type of people you need to eliminate from your life are the ones who can't respect your boundaries. This one gets me tight just talking about it. I am a recovering people pleaser. When I tell you, I was the person that did not have any boundaries. I didn't know how to say no to people. I like would swim oceans for people who wouldn't jump a puddle for me. So that type of energy did attract some interesting people into my life. Let me tell you this lesson I've learned. The only people who will have an issue with you having boundaries are the people who benefit from you having none. I honestly was like a doormat in a lot of ways. People would just walk all over me and I just couldn't stand up for myself. It is what it is. We learned, we grew, not that person anymore. When I finally started setting boundaries, I watched how bothered people got when they couldn't just walk all over me and do what or say whatever they wanted to. If you struggle saying no to a people, you might just attract the people who will benefit from you never saying no to them. I'll give you guys an example. I had a friend who lived out of state, and whenever she was in my state, it didn't matter if I was working, it didn't matter if I had plans for the day, it didn't matter if I was busy and had other commitments, I would drop everything to hang out with her. And mind you, she would just like call me the day of and be like, hey, I'm in New Jersey. When I finally started like realizing I'm actually not ready to completely inconvenience my life to make you happy, I started saying things like, hey, I would love to hang out with you. The next time you're in New Jersey, could you please give me like a couple days of heads up so that I can plan around it so that I can see you while still taking care of myself? She got upset that I was asking her to do that. And then the next time she called me the day of again and was like, hey, I'm in New Jersey, let's hang out. I was like, I actually can't because I have my schedule for the day already. She was like, but that's so rude of you to not make time for me. I feel like I'm not important enough to you. I've had friends who I started setting boundaries with and saying like, hey, please don't talk to me in this way, or please like don't post this ugly picture of me. Like, I appreciate it if you like run the pictures by me before like I'm public on the internet. I didn't realize how bad I was entrenched into like people-pleasing relationships until I was asking for very simple things and they were shocked. They were shocked that I was standing up for myself. The friends who love you will listen to you when you tell them that you're upset about something. If you say, hey, I want to talk to you about something, what you did, I didn't like. It made me feel like this. Can you please not do this? They'll ask you questions, they'll apologize, they'll listen. They won't tell you you're overreacting and dismiss your feelings. And if this hits home for you, definitely check out my video on how to stop people pleasing and set good boundaries. The way I think about friendships and boundaries now is like you and your space and your mental health, it's like a home, right? Homes have doors. Not everyone can just walk through. In fact, some homes have house rules, and you should have house rules. What if you don't like people coming in with their dirty sneakers, dirtying up your house? You have a house rule, aka a boundary, to ask someone to take off their sneakers before they come into your house. And the people who are used to walking all over you, the people who are used to just not even knocking, just coming in, they're gonna be salty when you start saying, hey, actually, I'm gonna need you to knock, and hey, actually, after you knock, you need to take off your shoes. The next type of friendship you need to cut out is the one-sided friendship. These break down into two types of people. Ones who are just simply never available and never seem to put an effort into being available. Like, being busy is one thing, trust me, I'm like one of the busiest out of all my friends, but I still make an effort to text them on a regular basis. I still make an effort to check in with them, and whenever I do have free time, I make sure I ask them when we can hang out, and I make sure to make them feel that they're wanted. If you're always the one asking your friend to hang out, if you're always the one who is making time out of your busy schedule, if it's not mutual, it's a dub. The second type of one-sided friend are the ones who might just care a lot less about you than you care about them. These people tend to use you. For example, I'm a good listener, so I've had friends who would only hit me up to like emotionally dump on me or vent on me, and whenever they needed something, they knew they could call me. But when I needed someone to talk to or I needed help with something, ring ring dial tone, ring ring voicemail. Where are they at? People tend to see you as an asset. You probably have something that they like, whether it's you being a good listener, you being a people pleaser, you giving them attention or something, and you're always there for them, but they never seem to be available for you. The fourth type of friend you need some space from is the pessimist one. The more negative-minded people you have in your life, the more you risk adopting that mindset. Now, let me preface this with, there is a difference between someone who is feeling down, who is having a tough day, who's having a tough month, who's having a tough couple of years, versus someone who, for the life of them, makes every situation into a negative. You could be on vacation with them, drinking a pina colada on the beach, listening to a live concert. They will be like, oh, like this drink is so sour, like this is gross. I don't know, man. Their brain is wired to always find every situation negative. They are usually looking for something to be mad about. They can easily be confused with the jealous friends because everything you do and say will be turned into a negative. If you say, oh, I just met this great guy, we had an amazing date, they'll be like, yeah, but like all men are trash, like you know how this is gonna end. They'll be insulting the food or calling someone ugly, or it'd be like, wow, that girl really thinks she's pretty. Misery loves company, so be careful with that one. All of your favorite self-development people, from Gary Vee to Mark Manson, will tell you you need some boundaries with those people. Maybe even if you don't cut them out, those are people you need space from, because you are very likely to adopt that mindset. The sixth type of friendship is kind of tied to this one, but it's the dramatic friends. The ones who are always like on top of who's doing what, but it's never anything positive. They're the gossip friend, the nice way of saying the mean girl. So the other day I was at the gym, and inside the locker room were these two girls talking about a supposed third friend, like in their friend group, and they were talking so much shit about her. And they were like, when Ashley was over my house last Friday night, she really thought she could pull off that crop top. They continued to say things like, did you hear Ben is dating Sam now? Oh my gosh, he is so out of her league. He's probably gonna cheat on her. I remember a time in my life when that kind of talk would be exciting for me. No! I am not saying I'm proud of it, okay? I'm just saying it is what it is. We've all grown. It's giving growth. I guess when you're immature and also you have nothing better to do, that kind of stuff can seem exciting because it's like juicy gossip, and hanging around with the people who gossip feels like you're getting the exclusive scoop on something that no one else knows yet. Those people always used to seem like the popular kids in school, right? But like, once you mature, you realize they just didn't have anything better to do with their life. Like that was like the biggest thing going on in their life, was like Stacy getting her period in gym class. They had nothing better to talk about. The more I mature, I think about the saying, Great minds talk about ideas, average minds talk about events, and small minds talk about people. People who are thriving and have their own life don't spend that much time and energy on other people. Typically with those friends, you don't even have anything in common with them. The only thing in common you have is like the space with them to talk about other people. And the gag is they will talk shit about you too. And the seventh type of friend you need to break up with is the unfulfilling friendship. There's nothing wrong with these people. It's not any specific negative quality. These are people who you just outgrow. You naturally will outgrow people. You naturally will take on different paths and drift apart for some people. And I'm not saying that people in two different lifestyles and two different paths in life can't be friends. I think that makes for sometimes the most dynamic friends. But a lot of times, there just won't be anything to talk about. It's giving crickets. You guys can't relate anymore. You guys don't share the same values. Didn't you outgrow some of your high school friends? Didn't you outgrow some of your college friends? Take stock of the people around you and make sure that they're not just there for the sake of time. I think having friends for a long time is a beautiful thing, but make sure that's not the only reason why you're friends. I realized that there were people in my life who, if I had met them today, I would not be friends with them. And the only reason I was friends with them is because I had known them for a long time. I always evaluate, like, does this make sense? Do we still share the same values? Do we still bond? Do we still connect? A lot of times I've outgrown people. People have outgrown me. For example, I'm 25 and I have friends in all stages of life. I know people who are still in school getting their degrees. I know people who are like in their clubbing phase, like hitting the bars every day. And I know people who are whole ass parents with babies. Guess what they're doing on a Saturday night? Not clubbing. And in this next part, I want to talk about how to have that conversation where either you tell them something needs to change or you break up with them. I think the type of friendship breakup you need to have depends on how long you've had this friend for and which 1 through 7 friend they are. The general advice I would say is don't do it while you're upset. If you have a friend who just made a backhanded comment, don't go off on them and tell them you don't want to be their friend anymore. Make sure you're pausing, thinking about what you're going to say when you're by yourself, maybe even writing it down, using I statements, talking about how you feel, saying, when you say things like this, it makes me feel like this. If it's been years, there are some rules for a healthy, responsible breakup. Very similarly to a romantic partnership, don't ghost, don't leave them hanging, no dry texting breakups, okay? Have the decency to call them or sit with them in person and say something like, hey, I don't think this friendship is going well, or I don't think this friendship is working out, or I feel like we're on different paths in life and we're just not connecting anymore. Some people are likely to get defensive and be like, what do you mean? When? Like, you're making this up. Bring the receipts. The second part to this conversation is to see their response. If this is the type of friend that if they changed, you would still want to be friends with them, then give them a fair shot. It's all about communication. You don't want to just cut them off if you actually like them. I have been so close, this close to ending friendships, and then because of a good conversation, we've made sharp left turns into healthy relationships because they were receptive to my feedback. Other people, they're not in my life anymore. You never know. They might be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this was hurting your feelings. Like, I'm sorry, let me fix it. Or they might be like, don't be so dramatic. And then you have your answer. And while friendship breakups can be painful, sometimes more painful than romantic ones, remember that taking the wrong kind of people out of your life really does free up the space for the right ones to come in. Comment down below which type of those 7 friends you might have or you might have had. And that is all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you next week. Bye, buds.